Hello, beautiful souls. How are you guys doing? Thank you for coming back to watch this second part of the Ruby Frank documentary. My apologies. I have been gone a little ways away from the last time I posted a video. I'm still a little under the weather, so if you catch me coughing through this video, y'all know where it comes from because I'm still got the cough. However the case, I hope you guys had the opportunity to go ahead and watch that second episode. It was called Distortions. And so this episode starts off with Ruby talking about, yeah, we're diving right on in. Ruby talking about how she wanted to do her YouTube videos um, about what parenting looks like. And because she got caught up and people had got upset and responded and reacted to her punishments that she had given to Chad and taking his bed away and making him sleep on beanbag, they lost a lot of viewers. Their viewers had plummeted, which means they lost a lot of brand deals, they lost a lot of money, and they lost a lot of fans. So she was trying to do some rebranding herself, and it didn't quite work. It didn't have the spark, you know. They showed how she switched from being this happy-go-lucky mom and all about her kids to now this being like disciplinarian, like this strict religious teacher, teaching her kids Mormon practices and values and principles. And it didn't do it for the kids. It didn't do it for her audience, which, the young teenage girls was watching for Chad. So a lot of people was in the uproar, and then your main fan base is coming to watch Chad, and like, cause to me, like, she wasn't thinking that through, cause your main fan base is coming to watch Chad, and here you are putting him on punishment and throwing him on a beanbag for 7 months. Of course, these girls are gonna be in an uproar and telling their friends and telling their mamas and all of that. So it was a horrible decision, horrible decision, a horrible way to discipline a child. Like, it's just not appropriate, you know? So that's how that came about, and it just didn't work. Um, let's see, I took notes on it because it was so packed filled with information and stuff that I wanted to address. This is actually the episode that I was really looking forward to doing, but I knew it was going to be a lot that I wanted to say. So I hope I don't keep you all too long. I'm going to try to slide through this and not keep you all as long as I did the last video. However, um, it shows, and they talked about how they got into Jodi and how she's a businesswoman. Yes, she is. And truth be told, this is the one part of the documentary that really is like, ugh, for me, is because just with the background in social work, just knowing what the expectation is as far as like a counselor or a therapist, and the power that it holds to be in that space and to practice and to work with people with mental health. It's an abuse of power. And that's what I see when I look at her. And I actually had came across an experience. I've seen this in my own community. And when it happened and when I recognized it, I was like, there's no way she's the only one who's doing this. There's no way. So it's not the same exact like results, you know what I mean? But it's pretty much the same energy, the same type of energy coming from that person. So I wonder, because we don't have this in the DSM-5, if is there a certain prototype or personality type for these narcissistic therapists? I'm gonna just go ahead and put that out there because there are a lot of personality traits and things that happen in this documentary that align with the person that I'm thinking of. So it's amazing to me because I'm like, oh, that sounds like somebody I know. And so it says that Jodi was a great businesswoman. And she probably was. They're very intelligent people. And that's one of the things they're driven by power and money. So that's what it's all about. They will start and have as many businesses as they can. The main goal is to monopolize on the money and the income that they can. So they're going to exploit their clients. So just how you seen with Jodi, and Jodi, she went from having them one on one to doing conferences and doing a bigger platform again for the money. So that was another thing I was like, And it's a business, and you really are an entrepreneur when you are working. So yes, profit is important. But the difference is that you are intentionally inflicting pain on your clients to keep them in a certain place so you can keep them attached to you so you can make money. And that's the abuse of power, because you're not worried about helping your clients, you're worried about your pockets. So that is where I'm like, another similarity that I've noticed with narcissistic therapists or counselors is with this type of energy is that they tear apart families. Brandon, the other LCSW therapist that was on there, um, he talks about how he's seen how she was doing. We're tearing apart these families, and he was stating how it's a part of power and control, and being able to control the narrative and impacting those families like that. And it's no regard for them. That's not a way of practice that we're taught. You know what I mean? Your business, your practice should be rooted in healing. It should be rooted in love. um, but that's not the case. It's it's rooted in wickedness, in my opinion. And you get to see that more and more as you get farther along in the documentary. Um, so, and for him, I don't know, like, I, for Brandon, he said he decided to keep tabs on his, friends and family that were going to her. But I also wonder what he noticed. Um, how was he able to assist and help those clients that he's seen there? And it seems as though that he inherits, some of our clients just because of the damage that Jodi did. So that's another thing that you also too have to consider when you see those type of things happen. You still want those clients to get care. And not only are they having to deal with the trauma that they even went into therapy with or counseling with, they now have been re-traumatized. So it's a matter of building up that trust. Um, and coming out of a fog of this confusion, and you're impacted, but you're not totally aware how and when you were impacted. But it gives you a lot of insecurity. It puts you in a very, very vulnerable state. So it's a lot that he's probably having to work with, and to get those clients back on track, um, from the damage that Jodi did to them. Then it goes into talking about how she, built connections and how she built that up. And really, what she did, from my perspective and what I saw, was she created a program to put on these seminars, and she drew in the likes of women. And what she did was kind of exploited them, but pulled them in by using their pain, um, and adequacies, things that they struggle with in their relationship, and kind of brought them in. And as Kevin described it, it was like a man hating club. So she was really probably just justifying some of the acts and things that they did, not holding those clients accountable for whatever they did, but only pinpointing that the problem were the men. And this too is again appears to be a ploy to me because you're getting these women riled up because you already know that you plan to start a men's group. Because why just settle for one group with the women? And you can bring the men in and make money off of them too, right? If you think about it, the bottom line is always about money. It's about the money, it's about the power, it's about the control for them. So she brings the men in. And it was one of the friends that was a part of the group had witnessed and seen how Jodi just brought on Ruby and Kevin. And of course, Ruby was going to be down. You know what I mean? She's, like she said, she is Jodi's little right hand man and always willing to help out and do whatever, which is fine. But the problem was, is Ruby did not see Jodi clearly. Um, Jodi had a lot of influence over her. So she was able to bring her on and immediately train her and have her be a coach. And so without really having any experience, as one of the ladies had attended the platform, or she was on the board of the connections program. So she's like, I don't even know how she's going to be any viable help to the people because she just started therapy herself. Like, how's she going to be able to be a coach to anybody? Like, seriously. And I guess, Jodi is just like feeding her head and feeding her ego and actually, putting her in position. But she put her in that position because she knew she was the easiest one that she could use and manipulate and get her to do what she needed her to do. So, I mean, and that's how that played out. But she also knew in order for her man section to kind of get grounded and have some weight, is she had Kevin to come on. Because again, in her mind is that, you know, the Franks, they are already famous. The Franks have already have an audience. They already have influence. Why not use them and bring them on so they can use their influence that they have already established and bring in all of their people? And just because, just by association, by them being here and by them being a part of this and then becoming the face of connections, of course, it's like a whole new, they done came off of YouTube and now doing connections for the community and homegirl's making all the money, Jodi. So really she's again is exploiting them and using them to bring in a profit for her. Using these people left and right. Just left and right. And then they don't even know that they're being used. It's sad. It's sad. It's fucked up. It's really what it is. It's really fucked up. It's a very twisted way of manipulating and using people, and using their traumas and their pain against them. And this, cycle, a revolving cycle, just to keep and feed money in your pockets. And I'm telling you, like, did y'all see her house? Her mansion, and it's just her. Like, she's divorced, she ain't got no kids, she got strained relationships with her kids. So it's just her. Talking about she got a 4-level house. Why? Why? And the background is amazing. Like, beautiful, beautiful view. Why? Why she need all that for one person? 4 levels for one person? I mean, I ain't the one to judge. However, I'm judging. Look, look at me talking about people I shouldn't even be talking about, but I should. Anyway, but I am. Anyways, um, but yeah, I see where Kevin was like, he immediately called it out. Was like, this is a cult. This is really like literally a cult. It's a man hating club, and they over here talking about love and lust. Lord, I'm like, she ain't right. She ain't right. And then I pressure this man to come on her and to do this, and then turn mom down. Like, that was wild. That is savage. It's so savage. It's so savage. And Brenda is talking about all she do is salivate over money and power. And she treats her like clients with money and status differently. And like he said in the documentary, you're taught that in school. You're taught to be non-biased. You're taught to deal with your own biases. Like are actually taught to sit down and go through and reflect on, but that is the work that you do anyways in therapy or shadow work. But we are taught to reflect to see where we hold a bias. Why do we hold that bias? Where is the root of that? And then work on changing our perspective, looking at things from a different perspective from other people's point of view, understanding and knowing and learning like cultural diversity, things that we didn't know about other cultures and how we can relate. And that, I mean, that is a part of our work. That is what we are expected to do. So it's just blasphemy that she does that. You know what I mean? And she shouldn't be treating her clients differently, just based on the fact that they got money and power. But again, she's trying to use them too. She's using them to for their money and for their power. So if you got somebody that has a high status that I don't know, somewhere in politics or something that you are connected to, yeah, she's going to try to take advantage of that position and try to get herself wiggled on in there to see who else that she can connect with, who she can build relationships so she can continue to push her agenda forward, so she can continue to make these connections so she can get away with shit. And that's the name of the game for them. That's how they play the game, and it's not fair. It's very strategic, very intentional, and very thought out, well planned out, very far in advance. They think about shit that you wasn't even on your radar. But that's how they do, and that's how they move, just to keep their money in their pocket, and just to continue to have that power and control because now you're taking that power and control into a different arena. So that's how they get to, evolve and continue to flex, right? So let's see here. Um, this is one thing too that I didn't understand that I kind of got frustrated was with Ruby. Like I don't understand why she was saying and talking about the kids when it came time for Christmas time. Like that was twisted. That was so twisted. Like she said that they felt entitled and that they didn't have empathy and basically just talking about how they wasn't acting right. And I'm like, how you gonna say this about these babies? Saying that they was being selfish. Like, first of all, kids learn from their environment. How are you being selfish? That's my first question. So what are you doing to show that you're being selfish? Like, where are they getting that behavior from? How's that showing up in your life? Like you can't pinpoint and point the finger at these kids and then get mad at them. And that they are at that child development age where those kind of relationships and structures, like family structures, being able to maintain and have their friends, being able to be on, teams, athletic teams and stuff like that, being a part of clubs, those things are important to them. Those are things where they are beginning to learn their self identity, they begin to build self confidence. So here you are. You done got mad at these kids talking about they being selfish, and then to prove a point to them, you go and take Christmas away from them. And not just take it away from them. Not that she just took the gifts away. She done had these babies sit down and watch their older siblings open their gifts. Why? Like that is so cruel. So fucking cruel. Like cruel. Cruel. Like why would you even do that? Why? Why? And that made sense to you? Like And I know it's the influence of Jodi is the reason why that even happened. And then what made it even worse, like not only did you have to watch your siblings open their gift, the baby girl had her little friend from school bring her gift, and then her mama tell her that she can't have it to go throw it away. So now you gotta throw away the one gift you had received. You gotta throw it away. And you didn't even know what it was until your friend came to school and told you. Like, that's so fucked up. That's so fucked up. And I'm like, is she serious right now? Like, why did you do that? And then I wonder, like, how is that going to impact their lives? And how is that going to show up in their adulthood? Because, stuff like that, they're not going to forget. And it's probably going to end up happening to them. And I also wonder if that's something that happened to Ruby in her childhood, because those are type of behaviors that get passed down from generation to generation, unfortunately. But at the same time, if it wasn't her family, it could have been Jodi's damn family who did that to her, because Jodi was definitely a heavy influence. And at that time she was in the house. So it was probably all Jodi. And now let's get to this, why Jodi's even in the damn house anyway. So this motherfucker, Jodi. So she's at home and she done called out to Ruby to come over because she's having these, I don't know what you want to call it. How do they describe it? Satanic episodes. Her feeling possessed by demons. And Kevin's like, it's real. And I believe him too. I believe that it was real. Um, Unfortunately, what they are not showing, and I'm going to tell y'all, I think part of what they're not showing on there is because, for one, it's national TV, it's a documentary. They're not going to expose it in that way. Not on that documentary. I can't see them doing it. But for me, to me, um, knowing what I know, I'm like, that's real. That's real. Like, she is possessed by a demon. But sometimes when that happens, that is intentional. That is someone, to me, from my perspective, that's someone who's practicing some type of witchcraft. Usually that is what they call a dark witch. That's using dark spells. And they get assigned demons to them to work with. So, yes, that was probably really a demon that was within her. And that is why when Kevin talks about, he was saying Yahshua's name and Jesus' name in every kind of way that he could, and the spirits was acting up. Of course, because that's what they do. They're demonic spirits, so that's what's going to happen. Um, in that experience. And I think that was part of the reason why he got pushed out, the, even out of connections, because right after that, once he got sent out the room and he stopped doing those seances or whatever he said he was doing, he said that once he got back to connections, he basically, like, Jodi done basically blackballed him. And he's no longer like this man of honor. He's now like, she's talking about him dirty, you know what I mean? And making him feel bad, making him feel guilty, making him feel sorry for himself, and crushing his little spirit because she knows she can. Now, how the hell you gonna do that shit and you living in his house? The balls and the audacity. And then you sitting in his house for doing it anyways, doing this whole connections thing, and you not sitting in his house, you staying in his house. And I'm like, again, for anybody who is in therapy and are questioning your therapist services or your counselor, I don't really know about the counselor's platform, but definitely look into it. But I can tell you, for social workers that falls under therapists that has the LCSW, there is a website and you can go to and you can look at the ethical behaviors that we are supposed to uphold. It's called the National Association of Social Workers, and it will give you a full list. And it will tell you in that list that you are not supposed to have dual relationships with your clients. So if Jodi is the counselor for Ruby, that's it. Like, she's only supposed to be your client. She's not supposed to be your business partner, too. That's not how that's supposed to work. That does happen, but it's not a practice. That's not the practice that we are supposed to be providing. It's something that we're not, it's unethical, basically, because there's no boundaries. You're crossing boundaries with your client, and there's room for confusion. And then there's that power struggle because, you know, being a client, it shouldn't be any power um, issues between your therapist and your client. You're supposed to have rapport, you're supposed to build that trust. But if you're working with somebody and someone is superior to you and someone is as your boss, oh well, then there's the power there. And of course that's what Jodi wants in the first place. But that is something that is not to happen. And then of course, staying with your client. I mean, technically, I don't think that's in the ethical code of ethics, but that pretty much crosses the line of boundaries. And then even Kevin and Sherry both implied that the relationship was closer um, and uncomfortably intimate as it appeared. Um, so if you're having a sexual relationship, of course, that is a huge no no. Again, unethical practices. Um, ridiculous. How much I was like, it's unreal. But this stuff happens. And again, after Kevin was trying to help the woman when she was having all those episodes with the demonic energy and stuff, she goes and just puts him out. Like, he ends up having to leave his home. Like, they end up separating on the back of that, all as a ploy to have power control. Because if you notice, she got rid of Kevin, she got rid of Chad, Sherry was already leaving. And so all that left was the babies. And again, that was so intentional because not only did she want to have, you know, um, Ruby to herself, but it's also you didn't have any other adults that were around that's going to question Jodi, question her behavior, question what she's doing. Because as you've seen, Sherry began to become, get onto her and her ways and actually like looked her up and be like, wait a minute, hold up. Something ain't right. Let me check this woman out. Let me go to the internet and see what I can find. And even though they did find stuff, again, she was open and honest about it. So it made them feel like it was already addressed and not leaning into what it was that, was there. Um, even though that they had every reason to, just from their experience of her. Um, But no, I mean, they continued. And unfortunately, it led down this long road and chain of events that led to the arrest. So it's wild. And it's wild. Like, not only did, that they separate and she sent Kevin on his way, basically, like, I'm wondering who the hell told Sherry? Like, who the hell told Kevin to tell Sherry not to contact Kevin or Chad? Like, why was that a good idea? I don't understand that because Sherry was the one that was on to her. So I guess if she felt like that if the three of them was connecting and Sherry got to the point where she was talking to them, then they would start getting their wheels spinning and coming together. Three heads is better than one. You know what I mean? You're getting all this insight and feeding off each other, and like, maybe Sherry is onto something. So she's trying to keep them all apart, you know? So again, so she won't be found out. But it's just a matter of time. And all you're doing is like pushing it back to see how far you can go to keep doing what. I mean, I don't, it's all power and control because, like, what are you getting out of it? You have a whole big ass house. You done fucked up all the relationships that's in your family. And so I guess, you know, dealing with clients and stuff and people in the community kind of become your family, so to speak. But again, you don't know how to have relationships with your clients, and you didn't know how to have relationship with your husband or your children because they're all gone. So, and now, like he said, I think Kevin said it in the documentary. She, or maybe it was Brandon, the therapist, but he said basically she is turning her clients into her. Point blank and simple. She's turning them into her by convincing them and then manipulating them into becoming like these evil individuals. So all they doing is seeing the evil in everybody around them. And so they have an attitude with everybody around them. Nobody is doing what they needed to be doing. So yeah, she has a problem with everybody. And it's very evident to the kids. And even Sherry talks about it. And I think Chad talks about it too. But at the end, you see where she's like, Sherry saying, showing a video saying that this is my mom. Like, this is who I knew my mom to be. This is the mom I know. This woman here who's been working with Jodi, I don't know her. I don't know her. And I think that's when you begin to see um, when you have clients that are working with certain therapists, when they're no longer themselves, when they're no longer the same person that they used to be, no longer themselves in a bad way. Not that they are improving. If a person's improving and they're connected and they're growing, but if they're not doing that and they are mean or they being nasty, they've done pushed everybody away, or for whatever reason, like they have now become isolated because of working with that particular therapist, there is a problem. There's a problem that needs to be looked into because that's not right. And I think it's kind of difficult when family have a client or a family member that is a client of someone like that. Because for one, they feel helpless, they don't know what to do, because a lot of times that you're like in fights or going back and forth with whoever that client is. So it's kind of hard to resolve like relationships. But if you are aware, even when you are aware, I think it still can be difficult to blend and come back together because that person, because sometimes, from my understanding and from what I've learned, people put their clients or can are known to actually put their clients under spells. And these are spells for control, um, to have mental control over them. So when you see these type of clients, it's not them being who they are. That's not their normal selves. And they wouldn't be that way had they not been under a spell. So again, that's a lot of wickedness. And seeing how that played out, just some of the similarities that I know, I'm like, that's what that is. Like she is putting her clients under spells. Now I can't say that it's all her clients, um, but I would say the ones that are most attracted to her. She has some type of influence. One of the things that I've also like researched was something called MK Ult- MK Ultra, and it is a military tactic that was created by a chemist that was in the CIA, and he had a classified mission, I guess, but the whole mission, nobody knew about it but him and the person who gave it to him to do. But the whole goal was to come up with a drug that can cause a person to be weakened so someone can have mind control over them. So the closest thing that they was able to get was LSD. And LSD is a drug that they had learned that put the person or the client in a state where they can be manipulated. So, but also when we're talking about hallucinogenics, that falls under that too of being able to be manipulated because you're kind of in this foggy state. And I would go as far as saying marijuana as well as another drug that has this chemical process that puts you in this state where you're not capable or fully capable of making sound decisions because your mind, and your body's relaxed. And a lot of times it's you can kind of shrug stuff off or don't pay attention to things, and you can be easily influenced. So you can easily be put under some type of mind control or spell under somebody when you're necessarily not coherent um, in your full, mindset drug free. So I think that is what gets people kind of in predicaments under the influence of these type of people that are doing this kind of damage. Um, it's very wicked. It's very sad. It's sad. Just even seeing the therapist or counselor that is doing it is sad because it is very demonic, is very twisted. And then I think about what happened in their life that has got them into this position to think that this is okay to be that cold hearted and heartless, that you really don't give a fuck about anybody. You really don't give a fuck about people. And you don't give a fuck about helping people. Like, you just want to put money in your pocket. You don't give a fuck about healing people. You don't give a fuck about nobody. You don't give a fuck about yourself. You don't give a, like, so twisted. Like, how can you? How can you? How could you say that you care about yourself when you're doing all of this? How can you say that? You can't. You can't. Like, it's sad because you doing everything for all the wrong reasons. And what are you fulfilling? You feel like you impressing somebody because you're not. Um, it's very superficial, and you're not being your authentic self. So it's like you as a person, like, what are you doing? Like, how are you fulfilling something within you? What are you fulfilling? What are you gaining from doing this? Power and control. And what is it feeding for you? Because it's not getting you anywhere. There's no personal develop that, like, that's the only thing that you standing in. And so so wicked. So wicked and very sad um that you have to go through this length to get into people's mind, to get into people's families, to break up these families. And so much so, again, getting together with another woman for her to abuse and neglect her kids in such a way. I promise it has to be some type of mind control there and influence there, because what doesn't make sense to me, like the lady said in the video, like towards the end, the couple, she was like, what kind of mother can sit there and watch their kids cry like that? And even taking it a step farther, for me, it's like, not even just crying. What kind of mother, overall in general, can do any of these things to their children? Like, how are you able to collaborate with another woman to tie your kids up, to say that they're being demonic, to say they're being selfish, to take their gifts away, to tie them up, to not feed them, to have them malnourished, nutrition, not feeding them shit. Um, like, I. It's sad. It's sad. It's the only thing that I can say about it. It's fucking sad. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't like any part of it. It's a lot of work on the back end for the kids. I mean, even Ruby needs help. And I mean, Jodi does too, you know. The God in me says that Jodi needs help. The ego in me says, fuck it, bitch. But that's where I am at in my journey. And see, I can determine the two. You see there, like, I know within me says that all of them need help. All of them need healing, of course, yes. But my ego also says, fuck it, bitch, Jodi. Because that bitch is wicked as fuck. And you need to say every prayer you can for that woman to get that demon out of her. So, yes, we're going to start with Psalms 109. Get to it. Get busy. It's just crazy. But it's wild. I mean, I really wonder what you all think. Like, drop a comment down below. Let me know just a few words of what you think. Did you watch it? Is this shit crazy? Um, because it really is. But yes, drop a thumbs up if you watched it. Drop a thumbs down if you agree with me. Fuck it, bitch. Jodi. Like, share, subscribe. um, I got that cough. So I'm gonna go ahead and get off there so I can give me something to drink because I keep needing to cough, but I'm so glad I was able to get through this and talk to you guys. I know I've been putting this off. I really wanted to get to it. Definitely gonna come back for the third one. I'm definitely gonna need to go get me some tea and let my vocal cords relax because it's there. All right. You guys, y'all have a wonderful day and you guys stay blessed. Peace and love.